Do you remember the day when the result used to be declared in the school? Huge anxiety. For some of us, it used to be a day of joy, and for others, it was full of sorrow. Despite attending the school, many children are not able to achieve the desired level. You must have seen such reports in the newspapers. We often see that no detention policy is blamed for the low achievement and hence the low quality in education. Let's listen what the different stakeholders think about it.
सीसी सिस्टम में जो हमने वो किया का पेपर वर्क ज़्यादा था। टीचर्स के लिए पेपर वर्क में इतने बिजी थे कि बच्चों को वो एक्चुअली जो एक्टिविटीज़ हैं वो परफॉर्म नहीं कर पाए और वो पेपर वर्क में बिजी रहे और बच्चे थोड़ा सा रिलैक्स हो गए कि कौन सा हमने फेल होना है। देयर इज़ नो डिटेंशन पॉलिसी इन एनी क्लास, तो हम अगली क्लास में चले ही जाएंगे टीचर कौन सा हमें फेल कर सकता है, जहाँ हम कौन सा फेल हो सकते हैं।
बीइंग पेरेंट्स आई है एक्सपीरियंस कि बच्चे ने कंपटीशन में भाग लेना बंद कर दिया है। उनके इतने सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं, वो ना मन से प्रोजेक्ट पूरा कर पाते क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं, ना गेम्स का उनको टाइम मिल पाता है। उसके साथ साथ उनको लगता है कि हम नंबर मिल जाएंगे, हम पास हो ही जाएंगे, तो उनका पढ़ाई में ध्यान उतना नहीं है।
I have to attend 40 students, sometimes even more. All the time cannot be given for only one child. Parents need to support their children at home.
I am a teacher in English. Earlier, the students here only could speak English, could write English, but now they cannot even read English. So, and ये सिर्फ English नहीं, पंजाबी भी नहीं कर पाते, हिंदी भी नहीं कर पाते, ते किसी भी सब्जेक्ट विच वो एफिशिएंट नहीं रह पा रहे हैं जस्ट बिकॉज CCE दे नो कि उन्होंने भी पता है कि टीचर्स दे कोल हथ च नंबर ने, दे अटेंड द क्लास, नंबर मिल जाएंगे, दे कम टू द क्लास एंड सिट प्रॉपरली, उहदे भी नंबर मिल जाने हैं।
बच्चे जानते हैं कि उनको प्रमोट हो ही जाना है, इसलिए वो पढ़ाई को सीरियस नहीं ले रहे और ना हम उन्हें कुछ कह सकते हैं, इसलिए वो ना होमवर्क पे ध्यान देते हैं ज़्यादा, ना क्लास वर्क पे ध्यान देते हैं और ना हम ज़्यादा पेरेंट्स को बोल सकते हैं और पेरेंट्स भी ज़्यादा कोऑपरेट नहीं करते हैं।
How do you know what children learn? Let us see. What do parents, teachers and students say about it?
The report card shows how good their grades are.
But does it reflect what are the learning gaps and how the child needs to be supported?
No, it does not.
In order to address this issue, continuous and comprehensive evaluation (CCE) was introduced. It was made mandatory under Right to Education (RTE) Act 2009. What teachers and students think about it, whether it helps them or not.
CCE टीचर्स की प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व नहीं कर रहा है, ये टीचर्स पर बर्डन को बढ़ा रहा है। इसमें दुनिया भर के रिकॉर्ड हमें मेंटेन करने पड़ते हैं, इतने सारे रजिस्टर भरने पड़ते हैं, इससे हमारा समय ज़ाया होता है और इसी समय को बच्चों को पढ़ाने के लिए बेहतर तरीके से इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है।
We are spending more and more time making projects and by this we don't get enough time to study.
टेस्ट के बाद टेस्ट, टेस्ट के बाद टेस्ट, एक टेस्ट देते हैं, दूसरा टीचर बोलता है बेटा कल टेस्ट है, फिर टेस्ट, एक टेस्ट देते हैं, दूसरा टीचर बोलता है फिर टेस्ट, टेस्ट पे टेस्ट ही टेस्ट।
This has never been the intent of CCE. It was introduced to map the learning gap of a child to help him or her improve and progress in a fear and anxiety-free environment. In no way it should be burdensome for the teachers or students. Let us understand the ethos of CCE in order to use it meaningfully in our classrooms. The CCE can be understood under the following three important purposes of assessment. Assessment for learning, assessment as learning, assessment of learning. Let's understand these one by one. Assessment for learning. There are different aspects of assessment for learning. One of them is continuous assessment. What do we mean by continuous assessment? Let's hear from the teachers.
कंटिन्यूस का मतलब लगातार, परहैप्स हर हफ्ते एक टेस्ट,
Why not every day?
क्योंकि हर रोज एक टेस्ट कंडक्ट करना हमारे लिए काफी मुश्किल होगा।
क्या कंटिन्यूस का यही मतलब है?
तो फिर इसका मतलब क्या है?
Locate all these 4 states on your map.
Continuous assessment means that children need to be observed all the time while they are engaged in different tasks. It doesn't mean conducting frequent tests.
Your location of Manipur was wrong. You have to learn it again, okay? It is here.
Another aspect of assessment for learning is comprehensive assessment. Comprehensive includes all aspects of personality, which include physical and socio-emotional, besides the cognitive aspects, to get an idea of overall development of a child. However, generally it is perceived as complete coverage of syllabus, which is not at all intended. Another aspect of assessment for learning is its nature of being non-threatening. Oh, really? Examination and non-threatening? Let's ask the teacher that what do they think about it?
Examination must create some sort of fear among the students, otherwise students would not take it seriously.
What is the view of expert?
See, traditionally the examinations are conducted in a manner which actually inculcate fear among students. On the other hand, if you see the RTE Act, what does it say? It states that teaching, learning and assessment needs to be done in an environment which is free from any sort of fear, trauma, anxiety, so any such sort of thing. And if you see that only the paper pencil mode, that is considered to be that this is the only mode that can be used for examination. Whereas all those kinds of modes which you adopt for teaching, learning can very well be used for assessment. This could be quiz, it could be experimentation, it could be a project, it could be a play, it can be anything.
Another aspect of assessment for learning is that it is integral to teaching learning, which means that it goes on during the teaching learning process.
But how is that possible?
An observant teacher can do this during the teaching learning in the classrooms, when children are engaged in meaningful learning tasks, when they ask questions, when they explore, investigate, draw, anything that they are doing.
रोल नंबर 6 खुशदीप, ये देखो 5 नंबर। पढ़ाई की थी कि नहीं थी तुमने? पढ़ाई की थी? क्यों नहीं की बेटा पढ़ाई? आपको बताया गया था ना आपके एग्जाम्स हैं, आपको लेसन्स भी लिखवाए थे, क्या क्या आए थे, क्यों नहीं की पढ़ाई आपने? बताओ। डांस के लिए आपको भेजे तो आप सारा दिन बाहर रह सकते हो, रहते हो ना बाहर? हाँ बेटा पढ़ाई भी तो करो, पास नहीं होना आपको, होना है ना, आगे से ध्यान रखना है।
Often, our prejudices and biases creep in when we assess children.
Clap for him. देखो कितना अच्छा किया है इसने।
For example, children who do well in subjects like maths, English, Hindi, science are considered good in all respects.
What should be done then?
ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ different grades ਦੇਣੇ ਆ।
Yes, there is always a danger that our prejudices or biases, they can affect the process of assessment. That is why we always say that it needs to be multiple evidence based. If it is multiple evidence based, then it always helps us in forming an opinion which is free from any kind of prejudices or biases.
Do you think teachers should include students in the assessment process?
How can it be possible if we include students in the assessment process? तो क्वेश्चन पेपर भी उन्हीं से बनवा लेते हैं।
ਅਸੈਸਮੈਂਟ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਸਿਰਫ ਟੀਚਰ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਖੇਤਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਇਸ 'ਚ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਲਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਪਲਾਨਿੰਗ, ਐਗਜ਼ੀਕਿਊਟਿਵ, ਇਵੈਲੂਏਸ਼ਨ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਨਵੋਲਵ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਆ। ਇਹਦੀ ਬਿਹਤਰੀਨ ਮਿਸਾਲ ਹੈ ਪੀਅਰ ਅਸੈਸਮੈਂਟ।
It is important to understand that assessment for learning need not be reported formally, aims to provide timely feedback and support to children, helps teachers to modify his or her teaching learning strategies as per the needs of children. What do you think, whether assessment should be school-based or to be conducted externally.
मुझे ये लगता है कि स्कूल लेवल में ही होना चाहिए, क्योंकि बच्चे वहाँ बहुत कंफर्टेबल होते हैं, वहाँ के इन्वायरमेंट से वो घुले मिले होते हैं, तो वो स्कूल में ही होना चाहिए.
Making the process of assessment school-based actually helps teachers, students and other stakeholders take charge of their learning and ensure that learning does happen.
Assessment as learning. In addition to assessment for learning, another important dimension which is often neglected is assessment as learning. It aims at helping students take charge of their learning. For example, be a self-learner. Do you think that self-assessment is important?
It is difficult for the students to do self-assessment. They are not aware of what is right and what is wrong for them. Therefore, it should be the responsibility of the elders to assess the students.
See, self-reflection is very important. This is when children are able to critique their own work, and when they are able to find out their gaps, and they seek for more and more resources of knowledge so that they can address those gaps. Now what is this? This is the process of self-learning, and this is the real aim of education. And that is why it is very important to provide children with more and more opportunities of peer learning and self-learning.
The last and most widely focused purpose of assessment, that is, assessment of learning. This aims at benchmarking the learning process and identification of criteria, that is, learning outcome.
Yes, assessment of learning. I think इसको बहुत ज़्यादा अहमियत दे दी गई है. It's basically to provide a comprehensive picture of a child's personality vis-a-vis the learning outcomes or the learning objectives of a curricular area. But it has not been like that. It has been used to provide grades and marks to the students, and it's basically been used for labeling of students.
What is the major challenge associated with this?
The assessment for learning, that has been a major challenge. Since that has not been practiced, so the quality of learning is bound to be affected by that. So अगर हम emphasize करेंगे processes of learning को, so the learning outcomes are bound to be achieved. There should not be any comparison among students. Each child's progress needs to be compared with his or her own previous progress. हर बच्चे की अपनी प्रोग्रेस है, अपनी पेस है जिस पे चलता है, उसको आप उसी की पिछली प्रोग्रेस से ही कंपेयर करें, ना कि किसी और से. Because comparison with other students actually inculcates a sort of hatred among students, so that needs to be avoided. A teacher often does it with the assumptions that it motivates children, but actually it doesn't. There are studies which actually reveal that it demotivates children. So giving children any sort of grades or marks, if those who achieve A or B, they might be, feel better, but think about the children who do not do so. Those who are in the grades C or D, they feel demotivated, they feel humiliated. So any sort of labeling needs to be avoided. As a parent, guardian or any other stakeholder, whosoever is making any contribution to the child's personality and development has every right to know what the child is doing, how the child is learning, how he or she is progressing. So their progress needs to be actually communicated to them. They need to know that, and this needs to be communicated in a very simple and lucid manner. And how? It needs to be done not just quantitatively but qualitatively also. यानी इसको हम एक डिस्क्रिप्टिव फीडबैक भी उनको ऐसा दें जिससे उनके बच्चे की एक ओवरऑल सर्वांगीण विकास के बारे में उसका पता चले.
If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid, said Albert Einstein. Thank you for watching. Hope this was an enriching experience for you and supplemented your understanding.